Being a trans man means being myself. It means being, wholly, completely just in my soul, myself, and aligned.
So for me, being a transgender man, it's just a way that I kind of express myself or explain sort of my journey, sort of from A to B.
It means breaking the binary. It means not being stuck in a masculine box. Yeah. It means being a fighter.
I kind of sit myself in between being non-binary and being a trans man. It means that I was assigned female at birth, but I identify far more with a masculine presentation and living out my life in a masculine way, I guess. And trying to understand like my masculinity outside of cis heteronormative masculinity and trying to like carve out a space for myself where I feel comfortable. Whether people around me feel comfortable or not, that's their own business, but this is me and that's how it's gonna go, innit?
So it's part of my identity. I like that label and that term, but also, I don't know, there's quite a lot of debates about like, are you just a trans man or are you a man? And for me, it's just like, being a mixed race man, it's like they're two labels that kind of come together with me, like, it's, yeah.
I'll describe my journey as bumpy, nauseating, painful growth that was needed.
So I had top surgery, and the day we got home, it was me and my mum, and I see my chest for the first time. And I'll never forget, I was there, I was just staring at my chest, just examining it, trying to just understand that this was now my chest, and all of the years of that disconnect and the emotion, it just purged, it just came out, and I was just uncontrollably just crying and laughing, and then she started crying and laughing, and we were hugging, and she was holding me, and she just kept on saying to me, that's my son, can you see your reach, that's my son. And just that moment, both of us were just looking at each other and at my chest and in the mirror, and it was just that, I'll never forget it, because it felt like truly the day that I reached, and truly the day that I just became myself.
When I think about how the external world responds to me, it's a difficult one. And I guess as I go through medical transition, that's gonna change. And I guess that's where a lot of my fears about transition and about my identity kind of lie.
I think when it comes to like work and stuff, I feel in quotas. You know, like I'm just like a niche. I'm black, I'm trans, I've ticked all the diversity boxes, so they need one of me. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I feel a lot of the time.
Like trying to navigate this world as a dark-skinned black woman was like incredibly difficult, but now I'm gonna be navigating the world seen as a dark-skinned black man, and that comes with all of its caveats, and feeling like my presence could like impart some fear, could make people very uncomfortable in certain ways.
I will be profiled in terms of being, followed around a shop, or have police cars slow down, or have women kind of cross the road. I'm very conscious of how people now perceive me. So say I'm walking down a dark street and I see a woman in front of me, I'll cross the road because I know that she can feel uncomfortable with my presence, which is sad, but it's true. But then on the positive, to be fair, this is debatable as to whether or not it's positive, because I'm paid more attention to, I'm not interrupted, I'm not spoken over, which is actually sad in the root of it. But for me, I guess in a more kind of selfish side of things, which, I don't think is right. I need to kind of think more into it, but it's good for me in terms of being able to get my voice out and get my voice heard.
I've been called a batty boy multiple times because I wear a crop top. Yeah, when I went to like Afro-punk in Brixton, I remember that like 14-year-old boys were like, batty boy, and I was just there like, I'm okay with this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's weird and it's sad, but it's like, oh, I guess you see me, and like that sadly felt nice.
I feel like there definitely is pressure for me to appear more masculine as a trans man, but I also feel like me coming into my identity and acknowledging who I am has allowed me to express my femininity a lot more.
Just being a trans man of colour especially, you're meant to be masculine in the black male community. That's how they think that you're supposed to be.
If you're a feminine man, no matter like if that's just in appearance or if it's your sexuality, then that's perceived as like a weakness or a negative thing. But for me as a person, I sort of believe in like there's yin and yang, and I think everybody has traces of of both of those energies and those qualities, and without the other half, you would sort of be incomplete.
There's feminine parts to me that I kind of pushed down and rejected in the beginning, and that was just because of that pressure that I felt. And then I just kind of, as I say, just realised, well, actually, why push that down when it's still a part of me?
Obviously, I do identify as like trans masculine, or but I'm also in touch with my feminine side, and the more that I go in my transition, the more that I'm comfortable in myself and I don't care what other people think of me.
Yeah, I don't think there's any representation of like trans men and trans masculine people in the media and in general society. And I feel like that's why I grew up for so long, thinking that we don't exist, thinking that I can't have a space in the world like as my truest self.
I don't think there's a lot of dark-skinned trans men that are shown, or like trans men of like different sizes, and like disabled trans men. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not much coverage on that. It's very much so cis hetero passing, fairer skinned trans men. When you don't see yourself, you feel invisible. And then that leads to like isolation and kids feeling alone and mental health. Do you know what I mean? Deteriorating, and it's not needed.
Trans men are overlooked, I think, quite a lot because, and I feel like it might even be just a thing of, because obviously you're potentially put into the box of privilege when it looks at society, how society looks at you. That's maybe why we're overlooked. It's very much trans women are on the forefront right now. People are not really looking at trans men, especially trans men of colour.
In terms of like newspapers and certain forms of media, I think there's a lot of scandals around people who are transgender, which is a shame, because rather than it being like a tool to spread awareness, I think there can be a lot of hate, like, and also incited hate in certain like places. But also at the same time, like, there's better publications that are also doing a good job of making, there's good representation and putting forth different voices and different people.
My sense of style is like hood nigga, hood nigga chic. What influences it? I lived in like the Midwest in America, so like that, and then like my homeboys are like kind of gang affiliated. So I guess, you know what I mean, like I'm just very hood in my look at times, but then I also grew up in the country, so I get really preppy if I want to. Like I like button ups, I like chinos, I like, you know what I mean, I like brogues, all that cute stuff.
I think things that influence my style, especially, are like queer black men. Like I just love, like whenever I see queer black men, it's just like, that's love, that's just love. Also studs as well, like I like, studs have a very special place in my heart, innit? And I guess it's like people that exist in their like assigned gender at birth, but like exist on the margins of it, exist in like a different space of it. And I feel like those people really influence like who I am and how I dress.
When I started transitioning, I had a fear that, I don't know, there's like this sort of myth that I've been hearing that maybe like people won't love you if you're transgender, or like it's gonna be awful for you. And I think some of it, I had my own self-doubt and some insecurities. That was like that was my issues about it, or my hang-ups about it. And the other part was sort of a misconception.
People perceive you as whoever they want to perceive you as, and it's difficult because a lot of people don't find it difficult to respect like your gender, or like understand the extent to which that gender needs to be acknowledged, understood, like, and accepted. And so it's difficult like being intimate with people. It's difficult being able to, for me as well, to be able to like express like what I need in a lot of situations.
Navigating the dating scene for me has been easier, actually. The world seeing me as a black, female, lesbian, your dating pool is a lot smaller. Whereas being seen as a cis man, obviously, it just opens up to a lot more people. It sounds like I'm boasting, but I've only ever had one person say, I'm not kind of finding out I'm trans and then not looking to continue to, to date me on a romantic kind of way. But actually, we're really good friends now, so it's, I've never had a negative experience. And I think because I'm more comfortable in myself, it's a lot easier for me to be in that kind of intimate setting with somebody.
Last year, I had my first ever like serious situationship, and the girl didn't know I was trans. So we ended because I was trans. And I think that was like the first time I ever felt like deep outward rejection, which I internalized. And then for like 8 months after, I like just rejected myself and fell into like drinking a lot heavy. So dating, it was hard in the beginning. It was stressful, painful. But now, it's going all right. It's going good. You know, ugly, pretty nigga shit, you know what I'm saying?
I guess what gives me strength is a sense of self, a sense of purpose, a sense of like who I am. And whenever that is shaken, I feel like I'm able to come back to a solid place of like, no, this is my identity, this is who I am. The advice that I'd give to a younger version of me is that like, it's gonna be blessed. Like, you're good, you're actually good.
What gives me strength is knowing that I'm being my true self and knowing that I'm just living my truth. And, you know, when I was a kid, you know, genuinely thinking that I was a boy and that I was a late bloomer and that I was gonna grow on, that kind of looking back and then knowing that I'm living that kid's truth, that's what gives me my strength. Now, what advice I'd give to my younger self or someone younger than me, I'd say, take your time for starters. You know, you need to, like, you know, as much as you feel that this is right and this is right for you, make sure that you take the time to mentally process what you're going through and what you want and every implication that comes with that.
What gives me strength? I think the fact that I truly believe I can affect change and the love I receive on a daily basis. Stuff can be ugly. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can go through some ugly stuff, but like, just remember your core is always gonna be beautiful, you know? And there's always gonna be a beautiful outcome out of all the ugly that happens. Like, there's always a rainbow after like a rainstorm or whatever. Yeah.